نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. إن يشاء يذهبكم ويأتي بخلق جديد وما ذلك على الله بعزيز. ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وإن تدع مثقلة إلى حملها لا يحمل منه شيئا ولو كان ذا قربى. إنما تنذر الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب وأقاموا الصلاة ومن تزكى فإنما يتزكى لنفسه وإلى الله المصير. وما يستوي الأعمى والبصير ولا الظلمات ولا النور ولا الظل ولا الحرور وما يستوي الأحياء ولا الأموات إن الله يسمع من يشاء وما أنت بمسمع من في القبور إن أنت إلا نذير. إنا أرسلناك بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وإن من أمة إلا خلا فيها نذير وإن يكذبوك فقد كذب الذين من قبلهم جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات وبالزبر وبالكتاب المنير ثم أخذت الذين كفروا فكيف كان نكير. Respectful friends, continuing with the verses of Surah Fatir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here that Ya ayyuhan nasu antumul faqara'u ila Allah wallahu huwal ghaniyyul hamid. That Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, antumul faqara' ila Allah, you are beggars in front of Allah. I mean, you are beggars in need before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu huwal ghaniyyul hamid. And Allah ta'ala is ghani, independent, and hamid, the most worthy of praise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that antumul fuqara ila Allah, that you are fuqara in before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And fuqara are those who beg, those who are in need. So by us being fuqara in before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means that we are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. And wallahu huwal ghani, meaning only Allah ta'ala is dependent. So this is the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Zat is the one that is independent, who is not in need of anyone or anything. And we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which shows us that when we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we should be asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and not from anybody else or any other thing that itself is dependent upon Allah ta'ala or something else. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is independent, not in need of anyone or anything, then He is the only one that is worthy of being worshipped. And this is the evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the logic as to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be worshipped over any other deity or any other being. And that is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghani. And ghani, which is the opposite of fuqara. Ghani is that person who is independent, who is not dependent or in need of anybody at all. And we are fuqara, that we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one thing that a faqir does is he begs. So when a faqir who is in need of something begs from people and asks from people, So when Allah Ta'ala has created us faqir as well, fuqara, each one, and this is irrelevant of a person's bank balance. Because even that person who doesn't need to ask from anybody else is not a beggar, because there will be those that he will say, Allah Ta'ala is saying, Antul fuqara, we are not fuqara, we are not beggars, we do not beg from anybody. So here it's not a case of that begging. Here it's a case of whether you are rich or poor. Every person has to beg and beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody has to ask from Allah ta'ala. Even a person who is rich may not be in need to ask somebody for money or for food or for clothing or for shelter. But there are so many other things that they need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. Because that money and the wealth of theirs cannot buy them any physical health, good health, prosperity, or even barakat in the wealth that a person has. Because a person may have wealth, but the barakat in it, this comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are so many things in life. Similar person has money, but they may not be able to get married because they're not finding somebody suitable. So you need to ask Allah ta'ala. You may have money and you are married as well, but you do not have children. So again, money will not buy you children. You have to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then if you do have children and your children are not on the right track, money is not going to bring them onto the right track, you're going to have to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at all injunctions in a person's life, every person is dependent on Allah ta'ala, is going to have to ask for his needs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why he says, Antumul fuqara. And where Allah ta'ala says fuqara, he calls us faqir. It means just the way the beggar does what he makes dua, he asks, he calls and he asks from people. So we being beggars should not think that we are not in need of making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the beggar won't ask us 1 day, 2 days, the beggar asks every day. The beggar goes with his or her bowl and they go out and they're asking every day. To that extent that even if they have earned enough, they will still ask for more. And after you have professionals as well. You have professional as a profession beggars as well, especially in London, and they make a lot of money. They're actually beggars who sit on the streets of London, and they make a lot of money. So they have actually made that their occupation. That's what they do. Whole day they sit outside, and they actually do make a good amount of money as well. So the beggar does what asks all the time. When Allah Ta'ala is saying that you are fuqara, Allah Ta'ala is not saying poor, you are fuqara, needy. So when you are needy, it shows that we should always have in us the need to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should always be asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that we just make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. So each one of us, we've just passed through the month of Ramadan. And the month of Shawwal has come to an end. Tomorrow is the 29th. So a person does what? A person 1 month. So ask ourselves that from the month of Ramadan till now, have we even made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or was it that at the end of the month of Ramadan or the last iftari in the month of Ramadan, that's the last time we asked Allah ta'ala for dua, made dua to Allah ta'ala? And since then we haven't asked from Allah ta'ala at all. So when you are fuqara, then that means that you need to be asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. And further as well from fuqara, a very good point that is here for us to reflect upon. And that is that in our deen, where there is various penalties for certain crimes that a person commits, there is also the penalty of the one who steals. السارق والسارقة فاقطعوا أيديهما. That the one who steals, male or female, the punishment is what? The punishment is that the hand will be cut off. Now this punishment is there so that it becomes a deterrent. And that is the whole point of the various penalties that are there and the punishments, that it needs to be a deterrent. And this is something that people do not actually understand. And this is actually the fitrah of mankind. There are those who are very quick to attack Islam with regard to these type of punishments and saying that, look, this is so barbaric. This is uncivilized and barbaric. But in the so-called civilized world as well, if such a civilized individual has his house robbed or somebody steals from him, then just ask that individual, that civilized person, what his reaction or her reaction would be. The same civilized person would say that if I catch that uncivilized individual who stole from me or robbed my house, I'll break his hand. I'll cut his hands off. They themselves on their tongue will say that if I catch him, I'll break his hands. I'll cut his hands off. Why? Because the person knows that, look, this person stole, he didn't stole just with his legs walking in and then he grabbed everything with his mouth or something. He used his hands to do the entire stealing and everything that was there. So the nature of insan is that this is the type of penalty you would want, and that is what Allah Ta'ala is catered for. But along with that, one hikmat as to why the hand is chopped off is because here Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is saying that Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara ila Allah, that you are faqir in the eyes of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But in Islam also one thing is that the hand won't be chopped off for something which is of no value. It has to be something which is valuable. According to Ahnaf, it needs to be at least 10 dirhams or more. So a person's hands will not be chopped off if they just steal somebody's sandals from the masjid, or they steal something sort of, not so valuable, that you go and chop a person's hands off. It needs to be something of value. Only on that then, and when there is proof and evidence as well, or the person has made iqrar, has acknowledged it, has admitted the crime, then only does the punishment come in act. So anyhow, here Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala Himself, when He is saying that antumul fuqara, that you are fuqara in the eyes of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And a faqir, how does a faqir ask from people? Number 4, antumul fuqara, a faqir is one who begs from people, and the one who begs has their bowl with them. They have a bowl, isn't it? And what do? They ask from people and they say, "By Allah ke naam pe de do, Allah ke naam pe de do, Allah ke naam pe de do." So they have a bowl and they'll just hold that bowl out, or they'll put the sheet down. But usually in the past it used to be a bowl, and they'll have the bowl out and people will give and put whatever they want there in their hands. If a person wants to learn dua, how to make dua, and the words of dua, you learn it from these faqirs, these fuqara, these beggars. If you go to Hindustan, Pakistan, these countries, these beggars are the ones who know how to make dua. And when you pass one, the amount of dua they make, you are astonished how they learn these duas, the amount of dua they'll give you. They'll make dua for the whole world, everything for you, so beautiful dua they give you. And then if you don't give them, then they know how to curse you as well. So all the dua they'll make for you will be replaced with all the bad dua they make for you as well. And people don't give, because they know that this is just a profession that they have. And not just a profession, but it is what it is. A habit that they have, a bad habit to have, because people give them money, so it's easy to do so. Whereas for a person who is healthy, a person who is able to work, it is not permissible for them to beg. In actual fact, nobody should be begging at all. As the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, only that person who has absolutely nothing at all, in that state will be allowed to beg. Otherwise, it won't be permissible for a person to beg. And many of these beggars do have, but it becomes a profession for them. And there are those people who feel pity upon them and they give them. Similarly, when a person goes for Hajj and Umrah, you'll find a lot of individuals, and you'll see those who are maybe physically deformed, and you even see those who have only one hand or one foot, or maybe not even both are chopped off, and people feel pity upon them and give them as well. This is nothing but a scam. It is actually a scam. Where there are those, you can say, gang lords also, those rich people who have actually bought these people off. And they actually get and pay for their hands or their legs to be amputated. And then they are set off and they are put into the people amongst the Hujjaj and that. And what is it? They beg from people, they make the money, they come and they give it to who? The boss, to their owner. And he may feed them some, or give them something very little, or their family something, but they've actually bought these people. You see a lot of them, isn't it, when you go to the haram? You see a lot, so maybe with the hands chopped off, in this case. This is the case. As if you catch them, you will find that there are certain checkpoints wherein when the day is over, the working day is over, where the van comes or a vehicle comes and collects them all. And then there'll be also a drop-off point wherein the vehicle comes and they're dropped off away from, obviously, from the harams. People do not see it, and they're dropped off there. And this is the occupation that they have, and this is a money-making scheme that they have. Coming back to what I was mentioning to you, Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara, that you are fuqara. So a faqir has what? A faqir has a bowl, and he puts that bowl out. And that's his asking, and people put in there. The hikmat why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained that the hands should be chopped off is that when a person has nothing at all, he has this bowl of his. And when a person steals, you have stolen because you are in need of something. Usually when a desperate person who steals is the one who needs something. And because they need it, they cannot afford it, what they do is they steal it. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that antumul faqara ilallah. That the same iPhone that you're looking at and you know that you could very easily steal but you cannot afford it, you should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah ta'ala wanted, Allah ta'ala will give it to you. That food, or that you went to the shop and there's some food there, or anything, any item, something that belongs to somebody else. You wanted it for you, you could not afford it, you are in need of it. Antumul fuqara ilallah, you should ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah ta'ala has given all of us this bowl of asking from Him. And that is what this is our bowl. And this is the bowl that Allah ta'ala has given us. That look, fuqara ilallah. Just put your bowl out and ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala will put that in there. Don't ask from people, just put your bowl out. But then what happens is that insan who Allah ta'ala has given him this royal bowl, by which all he has to do is put that bowl out and ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but instead he chose to use that same bowl in doing what? Stealing from. And he does what? He steals from people. So now because he has stolen from people, Allah ta'ala decrees that he is not worthy of this royal bowl from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so now take that away from him, his hand is chopped off. Why? Because he doesn't deserve it now. He should have what? Spread his hands out and ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead of stealing in this manner. So this is antum fuqara. And a faqir, a true faqir is one who will say what? Allah can give and they'll accept. As they say, beggars cannot be choosers. So they will get whatever you give them, whether you give them a lot or whether you give them a little, they will ask for it. And they want, even if it is a little, give us a little even. So when we are fuqara ilallah, it means that we should ask every need of ours from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not just our major needs. Because this is one mistake we make, is that we think dua is just about those things which are not within our reach. That those things that we think that is difficult for us to acquire, that is what we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those things that we know that yes, we can do it ourselves and we can acquire it, we won't ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but those are also the things that we should be asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For instance, a person's car breaks down. When the car breaks down, immediately the person knows, well fine, I've got AA or RAC or something. They'll take me to the garage. And then you know as well that look, this garage or these people I know, these friends I know who are mechanics. So there's nothing to worry about. I'm sure it's something that my mate, the mechanic mate, he'll be able to fix and sort out. So a person does what? Nobody's going to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you know that look, it's straightforward. You know, we're going to go there. And that person will mend it or fix it. If not, then he'll know somebody else or he'll be able to get the part. And then if he says that look, the part is not available or it's something that you need to know, we need to order as well. Again, we say, what, oh, there's a lot of suppliers, so he'll get the order in. So we are totally relaxed with regard that we won't think of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. But even there we should ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Despite the fact that we know that there are those who can mend it, immediately that time when that happens as well, immediately ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that in doing so, everything that we need, we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the benefit of that is There's that which could have been complicated or that which could have been very difficult as well, which we may have thought would be easy, straightforward. But sometimes a person calls the AA, RAC, whatever, but it takes them 4 hours. You get people who just be stuck on the motorway or on the road for 4 hours before they come. Had you made dua, maybe that 4 hours would have been curtailed to just 1 hour, 45 minutes or so. And then you get to the garage as well, and you get there, then he looks at it and he shakes his head and he's like, looking very concerned now. But you had made dua, then maybe he would have had a smile on his face. Oh, it's okay, nothing to worry about. The difference. Or then when he looks at it and then he's making a few phone calls, then he comes back to it and he says, sorry, the part is sort of, not available anymore. They've stopped doing it, or it's going to be difficult to get hold of, or it's going to be very expensive. Means so many hardships and difficulties comes a person's way. Had a person asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy, who knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have made it easy for a person, and that entire process would have become so easy for an individual. And had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destined the no, Allah ta'ala wants to put this person under a test, because every hardship is a test, even something like this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then if Allah ta'ala wanted that no, it should be a major repair job. Or that yes, it is a case of the parts are not available, you're going to have to do sabr and you're going to have to wait and you have to go through a bit of difficulty, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at least will grant a person sabr during that time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will at least reward a person for the dua that they made to him. And who knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make some other ease somewhere else for that individual. But the greatest and the most important benefit out of it all is that we constantly have the habit of asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what we need to develop within ourselves as well. Constant, small things. Ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every step, everything in your life, that there is this you need to do, make that Allah ta'ala make that easy. That there is this work to do, Allah ta'ala make that easy. You've got some work going on in your house as well. The builders or the plumbers or whoever else are going to come, they're going to do the job. Even for that, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before they come, that Allah ta'ala makes that easy for you. You need to go somewhere, even if it is a simple travel, not so far as well. Again, even for that, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one is the dua, the masnoon dua that you read at that time, which a person should be. And at the same time, make this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes it easy for you to do your throughout the day. When a person wakes up in the morning, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma inna nas'aluka khayraha wa khayra ma fiha, wa a'udhu bika min sharriha wa sharri ma fiha. It was such a beautiful dua Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us to recite when we wake up in the morning. That, oh Allah, we ask for you of what? Khayr hadhal yawm. That we ask for you the best of this day. And make everything easy for us during the day. And save us and protect us from the shar, from the difficulty of the day, and save us from the difficulty of the day. Because when a person wakes up in the morning, nobody knows how the day is going to pan out. What's going to happen throughout the day? You do not know what lies around the corner. So you wake up already, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if any shar is destined for a person, and that shar happens, meaning that evil happens or that negative comes about for a person, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant a person ease in it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant sabr to a person. And again, there is that constant need of asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is something which isn't part of the tafsir, this is something that I'm mentioning on the lines of what Allah ta'ala mentions here. That Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara'u ila Allah, that whether you are rich or poor, each one is a beggar, each one is in need before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who Wallahu al-Ghaniyul Hamid. And this quality of being faqir and acknowledging this is something that is greatly beloved to Allah ta'ala. A person who has takabbur, who has pride, does not ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One who, that's why Allah ta'ala actually dislikes if somebody asks us and keeps on asking us, we'll get fed up of that person. You see that person, we're going to take a U-turn. Or not this person again, he's going to keep on asking me for something, he's going to keep on asking me for something. So we don't want people to ask us, and we don't like people who ask us. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala dislikes those who don't ask. He dislikes those who do not ask. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Allah ta'ala is saying, ud'uni, make dua to me, ask from me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes it when we ask from Him. And why? Because in asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are doing what? We are humbling ourselves in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A haughty and a proud person won't ask from Allah ta'ala, won't ask from anybody. And because they won't ask from anybody, they won't find any, they won't even ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this quality wherein a person asks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acknowledging that, Allah, we are fuqara. You yourself has what labeled as being faqir. Hence we are in need of you. So that's why we ask from you. And when we are then mentioning, saying this, Allah, you yourself has said to us, ask from me. So then Allah, we are asking from you, Allah Ta'ala will definitely give us as well. Further Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that إِن يَشَاء يُذْهِبْكُمْ وَيَأْتِي بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. That إِن يَشَاء, if He wills, يُذْهِبْكُمْ, He could remove you. Meaning, for those who do not have Iman, Allah Ta'ala can remove you, وَيَأْتِي بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ, and replace you with a new creation. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after all is Ghaniyul Hamid. And when Allah Ta'ala is Ghaniyul Hamid, meaning the independent and the most worthy of praise, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't in need of anybody at all. So those who do not accept Iman, if Allah Ta'ala wants, Allah Ta'ala can replace them with another creation of His. وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. And in doing so, this is not at all difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? It isn't because generations after generations have come in such a manner that those who didn't have Iman, Allah Ta'ala destroyed them. And Allah Ta'ala replaced them with those who believed. So all the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam had those who believed in them, and there were those who rejected the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. With regards to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah Ta'ala says, فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَهُ أَذِلَّةٍ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ عِزَّةٍ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. With regards to the Sahaba, Allah Ta'ala says that when there were those who came into Islam and left Islam, that Allah Ta'ala then gave, consoled Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that we will replace them. We will replace them with others, those who are going to be such that Allah Ta'ala loves them and they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is who? The Sahaba Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى وَإِن تَدْعُ مُثْقَلَةٌ إِلَى حِمْلِهَا لَا يُحْمَلْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. Allah Ta'ala further says that وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. None shall be burdened with the load of another. And وَإِن تَدْعُ مُثْقَلَةٌ إِلَى حِمْلِهَا. If any burdened person, in tad'u, if he calls إِلَى حِمْلِهَا, for his load to be carried, لَا يُحْمَلْ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ, that none will carry it, وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى, even though it may be his close relative. Very important verse this as well, that on the day of, here there will be people who will always be there for us, people who will help us out, people who will give us a lending hand. Whether it's money we need, they'll give us money. If there's food we need, or any other help that we need in general, there'll be those who will be there to help us. But on the day of Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala says that وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةُ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, that the burden, and here Allah Ta'ala says him means load. And here the burden and load refers towards sins. That on the day of Qiyamah, nobody will bear the burden and the load of the sins of other people. To that extent that if a sinful person will even call to his relative and his close ones to take his sins for him and carry his load, they will refuse it. That is how the day of Qiyamah will be. Ikrama rahimahullah mentions that on the day of Qiyamah, a father who is short of good deeds will come to his son and will say to his son that, look, I was your father, I am your father, and I was a good father to you. I worked and I fed you and I did this for you and I did so much for you. And now it is my turn that I am in need. Just spare a few neki for me. Not even that much, just a few neki for me, so that I can be saved. At that time, the son himself will not be willing to give even one neki to his father. The son, he will say to his father that, look, that which you asked for isn't so much. He's not going to ask him for such a huge load of neki. He'll just say, just give me one neki even. One good deed. Just one good deed. So here somebody asks us for what, £1. We're not going to cry about it or refuse. We'll give it very easily because it's not such a big amount. But here, the son will say that what you're asking is not so much, but I'm not in the position to depart or separate from me that one neki as well, because how dependent a person will be on each and every single neki. And then the husband will go to his wife, darling, Jan, or whatever else, remember me, and how I did this for you and I did that for you, I looked after you and I got you all the nice clothing that you wanted and all your wardrobe and your this and all these things. So that was there in this world. Ek neki de do list. Just one neki. What is one neki? She will say as well, Mia Sahib, as much as I would like to, but no. She won't be willing to give even one neki to the husband. That's the reality. And then he recited this verse. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, that on the day of Qiyamah, how a mother and son will run away from one another, son from the father, husband and wife, brother, sister, all close relatives. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى, that mother, father, son, daughter, such close love and bond. On the day of Qiyamah, when they see one another, they'll run away from one another. Just seeing one another, they'll run away. Why? Because they know that, look, if they see me and I see them, whatever, they're going to come to me. So before they come to me, our own are going to turn their backs from us. Because each one will know that that is the day, that is how the day is going to be. And being that type of day, then some people, if they see me and they catch me, and they're going to come to me. So that's why here we say that you turn that, look, he's going to see me, he's going to come and ask me for something. So on the day of Qiyamah, our close ones, may that mother, who cares for, who would stay hungry for her own child, who rather her child have instead of her, but not on the day of Qiyamah. Even on the day of Qiyamah, that mother will be a case of, nafsi, nafsi. I've got my own plight. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here. That each person will be so worried about their own self and they're going to be responsible for their own actions. And because of that, nobody will be there to help us. Which shows us that why be dependent on people? Why be in that state in the hereafter? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after all, gave us this life here. He gave our existence here that we do have. So when He gave that to us, we should have utilized it for what? So that on the day of Qiyamah, we do not need to be asking for that one neki. And this will be because here in this world, we didn't appreciate all the opportunities Allah Ta'ala had given us to do neki. That opportunities of neki were right in front of us, we left it for others. We left it for others. And there are so many examples. We walk in towards the masjid, walk anywhere and there's an obstacle there. We just overlook it. And somebody else will have the tawfiq. They just kick it aside or put it aside. They got the neki, we didn't get the neki. We walked into a masjid, we saw some dirt there, we just looked at it. We walked past it, we didn't bother to pick it up and throwing it in the dustbin. Somebody else did it, they got the neki for it. And then we come into the masjid and then what do? We make sure that we stand towards the back, and when when the safs are being made, especially on the day of Jummah, we see, in Jummah Salat we see it as well. And there is a case where we are the most courteous people. Like, isn't it? Most courteous. Everyone is so courteous, isn't it? But if you're queuing up to the nightclub or you're queuing up for the sales or something, you're not going to say, okay, up there, it's okay. All the chocolates and all the things that you want, the sales service items are there, the jackets and the branded wear is there. Okay, it's okay. There you're not going to be so courteous, isn't it? There is going to be very nafsi. Then it's by nafsi, each one to his own. Dakki, nafsi there. But here in the masjid, when it comes to this naked, it's okay, you go for it, you do it as well. This is how this is the way we are. So the opportunities, there are so many opportunities of doing so many neki for us. But when we had that opportunity, we didn't take that opportunity. This the way, another example, and I mentioned this a lot of times, is because you see this happening. A person doesn't realize that the salat time has changed and they come a bit early for salat. On a Saturday, the time changes. Don't ask me why on a Saturday. That is the Juzbi battle. This has been that custom for from the beginning people, maybe they think end of the week, Fridays or Saturday. So it always been that, so we just kept that and made it the same as well to avoid confusion. But personally, I don't see why Saturday itself is. Rather, if you should have your Ahad, it would be a Sunday instead. Or on a Friday, whichever. Anyhow, it's not a big deal. There's no guna sawab on it anyway. So you know that the time has changed, or you don't know anyway, that's why you've come early. So now that a person comes early for Salah, then don't make that U-turn. Instead, go into the masjid, sit in the masjid for that 10-15 minutes and just imagine how much neki you can get, which you're going to get on the day of Qiyamah. And there will be those who you see, I mean, you freed yourself to come for Salat at this time anyway, so you're free now, isn't it? So why make that U-turn for? You make that U-turn and you go home. And you go home, then what are you going to do? It's taking you 5 minutes to go home, so you know that you've got now 5 minutes. 5 minutes to get back. So what? You've got 5 minutes? 5 minutes allowed. The phone comes out. Isn't it? The ilah of ours. And when that 5 minutes comes out, and that 5 minutes is what? 10 minutes. The 5 minutes, nobody sits on the 5 minutes, only for 5 minutes, you put a timer on for 5 minutes and put it away in 5 minutes, you're back in the masjid now for Safa'ula. 10 minutes. And then what happens, the same person who did a U-turn, when they come back, they find them as being a masbook. I've seen that myself. They came early, they went back, they came back, and they from the late comers in Salah. And you've gone home, and what neki have you done? You've done no neki by going home. That you think to yourself, okay, 15 minutes a bit early now, never mind, there is another musalli, another neighbor who is ill, and who lives just across the road, across the masjid, to come on, let me just go there and meet that person. So let me meet that person, you've gone and met that person, you've got that reward, and then you've come into the masjid, so you've got reward after reward, isn't it? So you can understand somebody maybe have planned it in such a manner, that I might now, instead of going into the masjid to do some other neki, I'll go and do this neki, but we don't do that neki. Now all those 10-15 minutes or the time that we had, and a lot of times we've done wuzu and we're ready for salat. But we still don't want to go to the masjid. We still want to wait time here. But you're free. But never mind there's no sin in coming to the masjid 5-10 minutes early. Because you come to the masjid 5 minutes early, even at 5 minutes, just sat doing nothing at all. Okay, nobody's saying that you have to go open the Qur'an and start reading the Qur'an even, but just at 5 minutes you're going to sit in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's going to be rewarding for you. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in the hadith as well, that the one who sits and waits for salah is like the one who is in salah. Because in the past there wasn't timetable, so people would come gather in the masjid and they would wait till Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would come, or when the imam would come and do the imamah, so people would wait. So that would be a wait for them. We don't have to wait because we know what time it is. So because we already know, we know exactly, so we know that 9:12 is Maghrib Azan, so we know that look, we need to get to the masjid at what time? 9:17, isn't it? The imam is going to take about 5 minutes, maybe azan, maybe 5 minutes, depending on your masjid and muazzin, how whether it is short or so. So you know, for 4 minutes, so it's not 9:12, it's going to add 4 minutes onto that. Like we do iftar time, we know this amount. So add another 4 minutes, so we need to get to the masjid at that time. So not even at that 9:12. Forget about getting to the masjid about 10 past or even 9 o'clock. But it's a case of at that time. This is how we... And not realizing, thinking that look, all those few minutes, even those 2 minutes in the masjid, 3 minutes in the masjid, we're waiting for salat, we're getting the reward of being in salat. And all of that is what we will regret on the day of Qiyamah. That if only those 2 minutes I had sat in the masjid, maybe that would have been sufficient for my salvation in the day of Qiyamah. That when we are, وَنَذَوْ نُوَازِينَ قِسْطَ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ, when the amal is put there, and we find ourselves the percentage, we tell that in Turkey, percentage. So when it comes to the percentage, where's the percentage, where we're going? We dropped below 50%. We've dropped below 50%, and we're in 49. In 49% good, and 51 is now the evil deeds. That's where we are at that stage. That's when we're going to get the regret. But at the 2 minutes would have just toppled it. Would have toppled it also. Or if it's just 50-50 as well, and you become from those araf on the fence, then you think as well at 1 minute or so in the masjid. Just one salam I made to somebody, for example, that would have been on the scale, and that would have just stopped it even. So, but that is when in the hereafter. But here, we don't appreciate that at all. Here is a case of whatever time we get, just any time we get, just take the phone out and pass time on that. Any time we get opportunity, get on the messages. Any time we get on the messages, any time, to that extent, even in masjid. That person, okay, you might have the tawfiq not to do U-turn, but then when you don't do U-turn, they'll sit in the masjid and do the same thing. So instead of that 5 minutes at home on the mobile phone, they'll be sitting in the masjid on the same mobile phone. Not that they read in the Qur'an, then that's a different matter, reading du'as of Qur'an. Then you'll be same thing on the messages on there. So that is how you become. So at least even if they're just reading messages, lawful messages and that, but they study in the masjid, that is still better than being outside the masjid, because you still get the reward of being in the masjid. Inappropriate material, that is unimaginable, but unfortunately, that is something that you get to see as well. And this is how addicted we have become to it, that now it doesn't matter at all where we are. We need to, even if we know that, look, this is going to be something that isn't the best thing to be going on, but still we will still be going on it. Just for the meaning, not even, we're not talking about filth in that, but there's something you know that along with it is going to be something that's not befitting to be in anywhere for that matter, but definitely not in the masjid. We'll do that in the masjid as well. So Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةُ وِزْرَ. So all of us, my dear friends, whatever Allah Ta'ala, opportunity Allah Ta'ala has given us, chances Allah Ta'ala has given us, time Allah Ta'ala has given us, all this is opportunities that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is giving us for salvation of the hereafter. Any opportunity of any neki that comes our way, grab it. Don't be too polite there, don't be too courteous there, and give it to other people, take it for yourself. Further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that إِنَّمَا تُنْزِرُ الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ وَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that you, referring to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, giving consoling Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that إِنَّمَا تُنْزِرُ الَّذِينَ, that you can only warn those who, الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ, those who fear their Rabb bil-ghayb, without seeing Him, وَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ. Meaning that when it comes to warning, those who do not want to believe and do not believe, they're not going to take heed to your warning. It's only those who have iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who yakhshawna rabbahum, who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and without seeing Him, and waqamu salah, establish the salah. These are those who will take heed to the warnings. And وَمَنْ تَزَكَّى فَإِنَّمَا يَتَزَكَّى لِنَفْسِهِ. And whoever purifies himself, فَإِنَّمَا يَتَزَكَّى لِنَفْسِهِ, then he has purified himself only for his own good. Because this spiritual purification will lead him to do those deeds which will lead him towards Jannah. وَإِلَى اللَّهِ الْمَصِيرُ. To Allah will we return. So to Allah will the return be. So when everyone is going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then for sure, only that person who fears Allah Ta'ala will take heed from the warnings of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and do what? Not just take it in from one ear and out of the other ear, but they will do what? وَمَنْ تَزَكَّى, they'll purify themselves and they will act upon it, and by acting upon it they will make the journey of the hereafter easy for them. I had read further verses as well. However, I will keep it to this. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant us all the understanding, and this is something we've been mentioning of late as well, in the Jummah Bayan this week as well, and not last week, the week before as well, of the importance of before our death to do as much good deeds. And the most important thing is what? Must develop that link and connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is what matters the most, this is the most important thing. If we have ta'alluq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is only that contact, only that ta'alluq that is going to be of any use to us in the hereafter. And unfortunately, we have contact, and we make this life of ours a mission of ours to make contact with the whole world. We have so many people and so many influential people. Remember all those influential people. On the day of Qiyamah, again, the same thing. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرُ وِزْرَ. How many friends? Go on your group of all your pals and your mates and ask them as well, anybody got a spare neki? Isn't it? Day of Qiyamah, go on your WhatsApp groups and ask them, anybody got a spare neki to spare? Please forward it to me. Isn't it? Those who were so easily forwarding everything to everybody, stop. Nobody will forward anybody. No neki will forward it to anybody at all. So before that time comes, so all those friends, mates of yours here, nobody is going to be there for you whatsoever. It is only this, whatever good you do here in this world, that's going to help you there. And not only that, but this type of gatherings and this type of ta'alluq is what's going to help you as well. As Nabi Allah Ta'ala says in Hadith al-Qudsi, وَجَبَتْ مَحَبَّتِ لِلْمُتَحَابِينَ فِيَّ وَجَبَتْ مَحَبَّتِ لِلْمُتَزَاوِرِينَ فِيَّ وَجَبَتْ مَحَبَّتِ لِلْمُتَجَالِسِينَ فِيَّ. That those who have muhabbat for one another, my muhabbat becomes wajib upon them. Those who visit one another, those who sit with one another for my sake. And the muhabbat we have with the mashayikh and the ulama, these are what all muhabbat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't get anything else, that you get a prize or award or something for coming for the majlis or tafsir or anything for that matter. So it is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is what brings about what the love of Allah ta'ala, Allah ta'ala's love, muhabbat becomes incumbent upon us. It is these type of gatherings that will be beneficial for us on the day of Qiyamah. It is this type of sitting of ours which will all will be put on the mizan on the day of Qiyamah. All this tafsir, the tafsir that we have heard, that will be there. The tafsir that we have given, all of these will inshallah be put on the mizan on the day of Qiyamah. Allah Ta'ala accept from us all. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين.